morning all. Today we'll be talking about preservatives. Preservatives are added in what? Your cosmetic preparation, your food materials, okay? And various pharmaceutical dosage forms like syrups and all, they contain preservatives. Why do you add these preservatives? Okay? Why do you add these preservatives to a substances? So these are added to prevent or inhibit the microbial growth. So the preservatives are the substances that are added to various pharmaceutical dosage forms and cosmetic preparation, and to include food materials also, to prevent or inhibit the growth of microorganisms, to prevent microbial growth. So what is the ideal preservative? It should be effective at low concentration. Means too much concentration, it will be toxic to your body. So it should be effective in low concentration to maximum all possible micro. It should be non-toxic. It should be compatible with other constituents of the preparation, and it should be stable for shelf life of the preparation. So throughout the shelf life, it should be stable, and it should not deteriorate. It should not deteriorate. So these are some of the basic criteria for preservative. So what is the need for preservatives? To protect our drugs from microbial attack, to enhance the activity and efficacy. So once your drug is protected from microbial, it enhances its activity. So there will be no side effect. To increase the shelf life. To increase the shelf life, very important. Because when you add preservatives, the shelf life of your compound increases. You can use it for a long time and to stabilize our product. So this is the basic goal of a preservative. This is a basic goal of your preservative. So now let's go for the ideal properties of preservative. What all the properties should be present in a preservative which will be the best for you? So first, it should not be irritant. So it should not cause any gastric irritation, skin irritation. It should not cause any irritation to the patient or the subject, whosoever is taking that particular preparation. Okay, so it should be stable. Okay, non-irritant. It should be non-toxic. It should be non-toxic. Okay, if it is toxic, then you can't take it. It should be physically and chemically stable. There should not be any changes, like if you expose it to the light, the color changes. Its organoleptic property, its chemical modification, it should not, if it is an ester, it should not get converted into an acid. So it should be stable. It should be stable. Okay, it should be stable, chemically as well as physically stable. Preservative should be compatible with other ingredients used in the formulation. That is the one of the most important thing. So if it interacts with your so it should not interact with your other ingredients. It should not interact with other ingredients. Okay, that's one of the most. If it interacts, like there is an amide ester bond and there is an alcohol sometimes, so they should not react with each other. The bond should be stable. The bond should be stable. It should act as a good antimicrobial agent and should exert wide spectrum of activity. Yeah, means it should have a broad spectrum of activity. It should act as a preservative in small quantity, and it must be potent. So its effective concentration should be as low as possible, so that it does not have any of the following side effects. Okay, it should maintain activity throughout the product manufacturing. That means shelf life and usage. Means during the process also it should not be destroyed. During the shelf life also it should not be described, and during the usage also it should not cause any side effects. Okay, so this is the criteria. And it should not react with the packing material. It should not react with the packing material. It should not react with the packing material. Okay, so these are some of the criteria of your preservative. Ideal preservative. These are some of the ideal properties of the preservative. This have to be remembered. Okay, so now let's go for the classification of your preservatives. So the preservative according to the mechanism of action. So if they act as an antioxidant, whether they act as an antimicrobial or they act as an chelating agents. So citric acid, EDTA, these are some of the examples of chelating antimicrobial, sodium benzoate and sorbates, your quaternary ammonium salts. Then your antioxidants are vitamin E and vitamin C. These are some of the antioxidants which are used. Now, second classification is based on the source, whether they are obtained from your natural source like neem oil, lemon, honey. They are the natural source. Okay, salt. Salt is also an preservative. Artificial preservatives like benzoate, sodium benzosorbates, propionates, nitrates, etc. So, see, these are the classification of your according to their mechanism of action and according to the source from where they are. So, the chemical classifications of the preservative are acids: benzoic acid, sorbic acid, boric acid. Esters like methylparaben, ethylparaben, propylparaben, butylparaben, sodium benzoate, propionate, and sorbate, potassium sorbate. Alcohols like chlorbutanol, benzyl alcohol, phenyl ethyl alcohol. Phenols like chlorocresol, phenyl, orthophenyl, phenol, mercurial compound, thiomersal, nitromersal, phenyl mercuric nitrate, phenyl mercuric acetate, and quaternary ammonium compounds like benzalkonium, cetyl, pyridium. These are some of the classifications of your preservative which are used in your preparations. Okay, now at what concentration this compound, this is very much important, because if you increase the concentration then it becomes toxic, so its level should be minimum. Look, so in cases of ester of para-hydroxybenzene like parabens 0.1 to 0.2%, benzoic acid and sodium benzoate 0.1 to 0.2%, sorbic acid also 0.1 to 0.2%, benzalkonium bromides are 0.002 to 0.01 percentage, okay, of your total percentage of your compound. If it's 100 grams, see how much less quantity of these things are used. Chlorhexide acetate 0.02 to 0.05, alcohols around 15 to 20% is tolerable, chlorbutanol, phenols 0.1 to 0.05%, cresol 0.1 to, and phenyl mercuric acetate and nitrate is 0.002 to 0.1. So this is the common concentration of preservatives that are used in your preparations, various preparations. So this is what they have said, that this particular range of concentration of the preservative can be used in your preparation, which can be stable and sustainable. So now let's go for antioxidants. So what are these antioxidants? Okay, these antioxidants are used to reduce the oxidation of active compounds. So if there are any free radicals which will oxidize your compound, so and it will prevent the formation of your free radicals. Even if the free radicals are formed, they will be reduced by this particular ingredients. So they will prevent the formation of free radicals and oxidation of the compound. This is very important. Oxidation leads to your degradation and early excretion. Free radicals are toxic to your body. So this is how your antioxidants act. Okay. So some of the types of antioxidants are true antioxidants. These are thought to block chain reaction by reacting with free radicals. So first example is your true antioxidant. They block the chain reaction by reacting with free radicals. Example, butylated hydroxytoluene. Next is reducing agent. They have an lower redox potential than the drug or the excipient. They are protecting. They act as a reducing agent. So they will prevent the oxidation. They have got an oxidation potential, redox potential less than your drug. So they will prevent the oxidation. Example is ascorbic acid. Antioxidant synergies. These enhance the effect of your, and like sodium EDTA, they act as a chelating agent also. Okay? So chelating agents can be used as an synergistic antioxidants. Now what is the next thing that comes up is your antimicrobial preservatives. They are added to minimize the risk of spoilage or to kill low levels of contaminated introduced during storage and repeated use of multi-dose container. So what are multi-dose containers? Like your syrups, like your creams, ointments, they are multi-dose containers where we have to keep on removing it. So there are chances of contamination. So to prevent that, And to keep the contaminants at a lower level, these antimicrobial preservatives are added to your preparations. These agents mainly work by inhibiting the cell wall, cell membrane growth or other bacterial organisms by which may attack your product. This is how the drugs, you know the mechanism of actions of your antimicrobial agents. So preparation that requires antimicrobial preservatives are solutions, suspensions, emulsion, topical preparations like cream, injectables, eye drops. They all require preservative because they are used for multiple times. They are multiple dose containers, most of them. That's why, and they come in contact with your atmosphere, outside atmosphere, where it might get contaminated. So to prevent that thing, we add antimicrobial preservative. These are some of the example of antimicrobial preservative: methyl parabens, acids, benzoic acid, quaternary ammonium salt, phenyl mercuric nitrate, thiomersal, alcohols like your benzyl alcohol, bromonol and chlorbutanol. These are the alcohols. Then phenols, different types of phenol, biguanides, chlorhexidine. These are some of the examples of your antimicrobial agents. Now let's see the examples of your antioxidants like BHA. What is this BHA? It's tertiary butyl with a anisole group. Okay, and BHT is which contains a tertiary butyl with an toluene group at the para position. So these are some of the examples of your antioxidants. Citric acid. Now let's go for parabens. Let's go for your parabens as you studied it in your local topical agents, local anti-infective agents. They are nothing but your methyl, ethyl, propyl, butyl esters and their sodium salt. Widely used as a preparation of your this thing. So they are nothing but methyl, ethyl and propyl butyl esters of your phenolic 4-hydroxy benzoic acids. Okay, these are some of the examples: methyl, ethyl, propyl. They are effective in the concentrated pH of around 7 to 9. So they are effective at 7 to 9 pH and used in a concentration of around 1.1 to 2, and they are normally suitable for external and internal. They can be used both externally and internally, and they also can be used in a combinations, two of them. If you see most of your preparation, if you go and see any preparations, cream or syrup preparation, you can go and see there will be combination of ethyl, propyl, paraben. Okay, mostly they are given in combination, like ethyl and propyl esters are combined in 1:1. Ethyl and butyl are combined in 4:1 ratio. This is how the parabens are used. Now benzoic acid, you have studied, they have very good antibacterial preservative which are stable at pH less than 4. Very important. So in acidic medium also these compounds are stable, and they are used in a concentration of 0.03 to 1% recommended. Sodium benzoate 0.1 to 0.25%. Only the undissociated fraction or molecular form of this preservative possesses preservative. So if it is undissociated fraction or the molecular form of the preservative possesses, once it gets dissociated, its ionized form is incapable, because once it becomes ionized, they cannot penetrate. So unionized form, they are active. Okay, unionized. So if in unionized form, they can penetrate the micro and show its effect. Examples, they are used in food preservative like pickles and all. It contains your sodium benzoate or benzoic acid. They act as a food preservative and antiseptic. So this is the structure of your benzoic acid. Benzene attached to your carboxylic acid is known as benzoic acid. Sorbic acid. So what is this sorbic acid? What do you see in this sorbic acid? They got similar properties to that of your benzoic acid. So it is an conjugated double bond. It contains a conjugated double bond. Okay, it is 2. It's the carboxylic acid 1. So it has a conjugated. It's an example of conjugated diene with a carboxylic acid attached to it. Okay, so there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbon. It's a 6 carbon ring containing an alternate conjugated double bond and the carboxylic at the terminal groups. So if you can see, it has 1 hill, 2 hill and three hill. The first and the second hill contains double bond and the third hill contains an carboxylic acid group. So this is how you can remember the structure. First hill double bond at the end, second hill double bond at the end, third hill contains your carboxylic acid group. So this is how you can remember the structure of your sorbic acid. They are preferred over acid form. They are more soluble in water, but it is the acidic form which is more stable. Whenever it gets converted into a corresponding acid in your acidic medium, so that's why it is effective in your acidic medium. So in acidic medium, your potassium sorbate gets converted into its corresponding acid and it is more effective, and they are mostly suitable for your oral uses. Concentration 0.05 to 3% they are used. So similar to that, they are only in acidic medium. See, they are only effective in acidic medium because in acidic medium they will be in your unionized form. Okay, so remember this thing, very important. So other examples are chlorbutanol. They are preservative in benzyl alcohol, mercury, phenyl. They are used as preservative and topical. So this is the structure of your chlorbutanol. It's a trichloroethane. So it contains a butane ring. It's a tri 1, 2, 3, 4. It's an methyl. It's a butane group containing 3 methyl butanol containing 3 chloro. So it's an example of chlorbutanol. Other example is benzoyl alcohol, that is C6H5CH2OH, and phenyl mercuric nitrate, that is phenyl mercurate is nothing but nitric acid which is fused with your phenyl mercury. Okay, so these are the examples of your other examples of your preservative which are used. So next comes your BHA and BHT. What is this BHA and BHT? This is butylated hydroxyanisole, that is BHA. Anisole means the phenyl ring containing benzene ring containing an OH and an methoxy at 1,4 position. That is your anisole. And butylated means butyl group attached to it. And butylated hydroxytoluene means it contains OH and methyl group. That's why it is called, and it is butylated. It contains a butyl group in the ring. So let's see first structure of BHA, that is butylated hydroxyanisole. Okay, so it contains methoxy and an OH at 1,4 position and an isobutyl group at the ortho position. So that is BHA. What is the next thing? BHT. So it contains the tertiary butyl group at the ortho to your OH and a methyl group which is para to your OH. So this is the structure of BHT. They are usually as an food preservative in chewing gums, baking goods, dry breakfast cereals, cosmetic products. They are used in the concentration of 0.02 of the total fat content of the food because they have got very good penetration. They are lipophilic and all. But some cases that it was found that when it is given in high concentration, BHA was found to cause cancer in stomach of certain animals. So the concentration has to be checked when you are using. Now comes chelating agent. What is this chelates? What are these chelating agents? Chelating agents are also called as sequestrants, are the ingredients which are capable of forming complexing with and inacting the metal ions. So if there are some metal ions which are present in your preparation, so that will in the environment, so that will chelate, so that will prevent the metal ions to interact with your compound or the drug. So chelates are used in foods, drugs and cosmetics to prevent adverse metal ions on stability and appearance. So what happens if there is a metal in the present? So it has been seen that your lipstick contains lead and all. So what does this chelating agents do? They form a complex with the rest so that these particular metals do not interact with your final product. So these are known as chelating agent. Chelating acts as a preservative and protect the product from forming complex with the metal, preventing its deterioration. Example is EDTA, organic acid like citric acid, acetic acid, they also ascorbic acid, lactic acid can also be used. Okay, natural chelating agent is your citric acid. Okay, ascorbic acid, lactic. So they are some of the natural chelating agents. So if you can see, what is this EDTA? So there is an ethylene that CH2 ethylene diamine, which is linked to your acetic acid, 4 ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. So this is the structure. So whenever this metal comes, they form a coordinate complex with your metal and make a covering so that it is not free to interact with other material in your product. So this is how the chelating agents act. This is how the chelating agent acts. So it is ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. Tetraacetic or tetraacetate, EDTA. It is a complexing agent or chelating or a sequestrant. These are the following names that are given to this type of compounds. Other examples are chlorhexidine acetate, called an histamine. Glycerin is also used, spearmint oil, cinnamon aldehyde, eucalyptus oil. They are also used as preservatives. They are also used as preservative. Now let's go for some of the side effects. Some of the side effects are hypersensitivity reaction, allergy, asthma, hyperacidity, neurological damage, cancer. These are some of the side effects which are observed. So that's the reason why the concentration of the preservative matters a lot. Otherwise, this can lead to allergy, asthma and all. Okay. And these are some of the side effects which are associated with the aromatic, which are associated with the preservatives. Like paraben is associated with neurological disorder in rats. Potent irritants. They are also irritants. Formaldehyde, diazonium, then urea, and they all cause skin irritants. Imidazole, benzyl alcohol, fatal toxics in low weight neonatal. So if there are low weight neonatal, if you give benzyl alcohol, they called toxic syndrome. Cetyl alcohol, stearic alcohol, they are infrequent sensitizer. They are sensitive. They are sensitizers. Benzocaine, they cause gastrointestinal. Chlorhexidine, they cause cross sensitivity. Chlorocresol, they are skin irritant to skin, eyes, mucous membrane. Hexachlorophene is neurotoxic, and EDTA dose related bronchoconstriction. So these are some of the, so if EDTA is there, so those patients with asthma should be careful whenever they are taking any preparations containing EDTA. So these are some of the side effects which are associated with the preservatives, which has to be considered in various preparations. Thank you.